Jeffery McDonald is a former Green Beret surgeon convicted of the 1970 Manson Family copycat murder of his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. Now, FX is retelling this true crime saga in a series dubbed A Wilderness of Errors. Join me now as we look at the series trailer and cover the highlights of MacDonald's case on this episode of the Dead Fed Files.
What happens when a narrative takes the place of reality?
The infamous crime happened back in 1970.
Dr. Jeffery McDonald has been charged with the murders of his pregnant wife and their 2 young daughters. McDonald blamed the crime on a group of hippies.
Either Jeffery McDonald slaughtered his family and then tried to hide that fact, or there were intruders imitating the Manson family, including a girl with a floppy hat who attempted to kill him and killed his family.
The jury was convinced he's in prison.
Well, they are innocent people in jail.
If somebody kills your daughter and 2 grandchildren, are you supposed to sit back and do nothing about it?
It's got to have been a painful experience.
Very painful. Emotionally, financially.
This was a good man who loved his children.
Jeff's not the kind of guy who does this.
This case had so much publicity. It was on the headlines every day.
A best-selling book, the miniseries.
The television movie, Fatal Vision.
Millions of people saw Jeffery McDonald killing his family. It solidified people's views about the case.
Does it seem strange to you that no one else has confessed?
It's not really quite accurate to say that no one has confessed.
This was the lady in the floppy hat.
She said she was involved in the Jeffery McDonald murders.
You think it is a personal vendetta against you?
The easy answer is to jump and say yes.
That's the thread you grab and you start pulling on it till you unravel the damn sweater.
The mystery is about what happened in that house. Many people have gone back over this, wandering in that wilderness of conflicting evidence, of mistakes, of errors. When you think it's over with, the story is just beginning.
February 17th, 1970, Army Captain Jeffery McDonald's pregnant wife, 26-year-old Colette McDonald, and their daughters, 5-year-old Kimberly and 2-year-old Kristen, are stabbed to death in the family's residence on Fort Bragg Army Base. 26-year-old Jeffery McDonald is injured and manages to phone military police. He reports that 4 intruders, 3 men and a woman, committed the crime. Inside the home, CID officers photograph and collect evidence. McDonald's wife and 2 daughters are killed, each in their own beds, while they slept. Written on the headboard in the couple's bedroom is the word pigs, a familiar tag associated with the Manson family murders of Sharon Tate only 6 months earlier. McDonald is treated at Womack Army Hospital on Fort Bragg. He has a bruise to his head, minor stab wounds on his abdomen and arm, and a stab wound to his chest that punctured and collapsed his lung. McDonald is formally charged with 3 counts of murder on May 1st. On October 13th, the investigating officer presiding over a hearing on whether McDonald should be court-martialed recommends that all charges be dismissed. Citing insufficient evidence, the Army dismisses the charges against McDonald and he is honorably discharged from the Army 6 weeks later. The investigating officer says a young woman in the Fayetteville should be investigated by civilian authorities. The woman was mentioned in testimony at the hearing as possibly being one of the home invaders that McDonald contends committed the murders. That woman was Helena Stokely. In early 1971, Stokely was giving police contradictory statements about the MacDonald case. Sometimes she said she thought she was there. Sometimes she said she couldn't remember that night. In April of 1971, Stokely took a polygraph test. The examiner concluded that Stokely believed she had been present during the murders and knew who killed Colette McDonald and the children. However, the examiner said no conclusion could be made as to the accuracy of Stokely's statements because Stokely's state of mind and her excessive drug use in February of 1970. An investigator took a hair sample from Stokely and her fingerprints, but these did not match any that were found at the crime scene. On April 30th, 1974, Colette MacDonald's parents, who are convinced that Jeffery McDonald committed the murders, petitioned the federal court to have a grand jury investigate the case and decide whether to charge McDonald. In 1975, a grand jury indicts McDonald. By 79, McDonald is tried in federal court and convicted of 1 count of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder. He is sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences. In 1980, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals concludes McDonald's constitutional right to a speedy trial was violated, and in August he is freed from prison. But 2 years later, in 1982, the U.S. Supreme Court reverses the speedy trial ruling, and McDonald is returned to prison immediately. Appeals for a new trial, based on evidence not originally considered, are denied. In 2019, the final appeal reaches the U.S. Supreme Court, which again denies McDonald a new trial. Unfortunately, from the beginning, military police and CID officials failed to secure the crime scene. According to authors of books about the case, an ambulance driver stole Jeffery McDonald's wallet from the home and also set the fallen flower pot upright. The upright flower pot added to the impression that McDonald staged the crime scene. Examiners failed to collect fingerprints from the children's bodies, and some of the fingerprints from the crime scene were accidentally destroyed, and so were some bloody footprints. A piece of skin that was found under Colette's fingernail, possibly from her scratching her attacker, disappeared after it was collected. MPs and investigators had picked up and read a bloody smeared Esquire magazine in the living room. It was covered with their fingerprints. The magazine's cover story was about Manson murders. Crime scene errors cast doubt on the prosecution's case. The McDonald case provided a harsh lesson for the military about preservation of crime scenes. In fact, instructors for military police had a training room modeled after the McDonald home, and they used the McDonald case as a scenario of what not to do. If this case was handled like this today and went to trial, McDonald would surely be acquitted. So do you think Jeffery McDonald is innocent or guilty? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing for more Dead Fed content.